Hello guys, it's been about a month since I installed Arch Linux, and in one of my previous videos someone mentioned that they can't hear anything. I think this video will have a lot better audio. I record my audio now with my phone. I think I will have better audio. About Arch Linux, I switched about a month ago. And I'm still very liking the experience because I'm liking the experience and I'm not thinking of switching to Windows because with Windows I had a lot of bad experience where, for example, when my computer went to sleep in Windows, it would actually start working a lot more, and my fans on my cooler for the CPU would go a lot higher. It will get a lot louder, and it was very weird experience, and I couldn't do anything about it. And it was not only that, there were other small problems that I just didn't know what to do about them. And that's the thing that I didn't like the most in Windows. And of course, privacy problems that I don't know what's going on behind the scenes in the operating systems. I, as someone who is studying computer science and been programming for a lot of time, I hate not having access to everything. And so I did an experiment and I switched to Arch Linux. And now when the computer goes to sleep, it no longer starts working up a lot more. It's now that problem isn't here anymore. Of course, there I was introduced to a lot more problems, but the difference is that I can do something about them. And some of the problems are that, for example, something that was way easier to do in Windows, where I could change the mouse buttons. The left click is the right click and the right click is the left click. Because my mouse left click is not working well, and I changed it to the right click. And for Windows 11, there is a quick fix for that. Here it is. Select your primary button. From left, you can change it to right. Easy as that, and it remembers it. Whereas in Arch Linux or in Linux, you would, especially in Arch Linux, there isn't a setting like that. So I do it with a command. And I do it with command set bottom up. I think this is it. I do it with a command, and I have to start this script on startup. But I don't know how to start it on startup, and right now I'm just, every time I start the computer, I just go startup and I start the script, and it switches up my mouse buttons. It's something that I put off constantly for a later time. I should get on with it. I should do something about it, but I'm putting it off on how to start the script automatically on startup. I know there is one possible solution, like I think it was this file, and in the end I can write commands that will start on startup, but for some reason they don't work when I write them here. I don't know why this is happening. Like, I'll have to find a solution, but I'm comfortable knowing that it is possible to solve it. Whereas in Windows, if I have a problem, like if Microsoft has programmed a functionality to solve it, I will have a solution. Otherwise, the chances are very small. But in Linux, you have full control to do whatever you want. For example, what you're seeing right now, I don't have the toolbar at the bottom, and I don't have any status bars, any clocks, any notifications, nothing. Everything like that is removed. And also I can have this weird tiling manager, like managing the windows. Like this is one terminal. I can switch to another. I can, I think, switch them around. I can make one of them larger, etc. Like, you have a lot of freedom in Linux. You can do whatever you want. Of course, I shared a video that really blew up on how to install NVIDIA drivers. It took me about 7 days to figure it out on my own by following a lot of guides and trial and error and reinstalling Arch Linux, etc. And because it blew up like this, it shows that other people are also struggling with this. Like here, other videos like have 2 or 4 views, and this one blew up and has 500 views. A lot of people are having the same issue as me. So going through with Linux, you would face a lot of issues. Like, I faced a lot of issues, but they are solvable. There is a solution in the end. There is some kind of solution, and if you're okay with that, if you're okay with investing time with having to solve very weird problems, like, in the end, for me, it's really worth it. I have a laptop with me. So in these 30 days, I traveled to another city, and I took with me the laptop. And it had Windows 11 on it, and I used it, etc. But I really wanted to get back to my main computer and use Arch Linux and to be on my Linux system. Like, I really missed the experience. When I got back, it was really awesome. But once again, another problem I'm having, like, for example, the login manager, like, I think it's called something like that, where you're shown a profile and you have to enter your password, etc. In Arch Linux, I didn't have that. I installed it myself. But it's not installed properly, and when I enter my password, it cannot start Xmonad, my window manager, this graphical interface. And there is some kind of an issue that I'm not sure how can I solve it. And for now, it stays like this unsolved, where I cannot log into my prof. Of course, in Linux, you can switch to a terminal. Like, I think Control Alt and F1 through F6, you can switch to a terminal, and there I can log into my user account, and I can, with a command, start up manually what the login manager does automatically. And it's annoying right now that I have to figure out a solution, but I'm sure that with time I'll solve it. And another problem with Arch Linux is that it easily breaks. You can easily break your operating system if you don't know what you're doing, like me, as a beginner. Everyone who starts off with Arch Linux as a beginner will make some huge mistake and will have to reinstall it. And I figured out how to solve this problem for me and I shared in this video how to have a stable Arch Linux experience, and it's by making backups. Even if I cannot boot my computer, I have a USB device with a Linux distribution installed, and I can use the backups from there to a previous snapshot, to go back to a previous snapshot, and everything is as it was when it was at a stable position. So I can comfortably experiment, I can upgrade the system, I can make changes, and I can easily go back even to when I first installed Arch Linux. For efficiency, another problem that I faced is, for example, I started learning Vulkan, how to use it, and I think I'm writing it in C++. And for C++, you probably know that there is an IDE like Visual Studio IDE, and this tool can be used on Windows. I'm not talking about Visual Studio Code, I'm talking about the other IDE, and you can use it in Windows easily. But in Linux, I'm not sure if it's possible, and I can use Visual Studio Code. But for the Visual Studio IDE, I think I may not be able to use it in Linux. And from time to time you come across issues like that. So as I'm browsing the internet and I stumble upon something I need to install, and all of a sudden I remember, oh right, I'm on Linux, I cannot use that, or there isn't currently a way to use it on my machine. Like from time to time you remember that you're using Linux and you have to find workarounds. That's a bit annoying, but still it's worth it for me, because I can use Visual Studio Code and it's not that big of a deal right now. But if I'm more efficient on Linux, one case for having more efficiency is having scripts that I can easily start up. For example, speakers. This is a script I wrote to change my audio to be through the speakers or headphones. Now it will switch to through the headphones, or startup script. Now I have the startup script. There is probably something like that in Windows, but here in Linux it's really straightforward and very easy to do. And also my most favorite thing with having Linux is having the terminal, where I can write commands. I'm in the Linux distribution. I'm really enjoying having a terminal and being able to use all kinds of commands, bash script, etc. I know in Windows there is something called WLS, I think, or WSL. Windows subsystem for Linux, where you have the Linux experience in Windows. So in Windows terminal you will write WSL and you will be as if you're in a Linux terminal. And that's really awesome, but it's not like the main thing. For example, when I write some kind of PowerShell scripts, etc. in Windows, and I want to use Linux commands like GitHub with encryption, there is something like that, but it's only for Linux. and I tried to use it in Windows, and I managed to do it by, before calling the Linux program, I called WSL and then the Linux program. But I like it a lot better in Linux distro. So as 1 month has passed, I'm liking the experience very much. I'm not thinking of switching back. There are a lot of issues, there are a lot of problems, but it's possible to go through them. Okay, this for now. It's getting quite long. Please, if you're curious, ask me questions. I'll make more videos, but ask questions. Thank you and have a nice day.